Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Hillary and our channel is called the Sebastian Diaries because my first son's name is Sebastian and this is kind of just the diary of our life. I post a lot of vlogs, a lot of fun content, all kinds of stuff. Typically I try and post like once or twice a week during Vlogmas, which is what you're watching right now. We're actually posting Monday through Friday around 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Give it a thumbs up. And yeah, today's video is going to be our trying to conceive story. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I am 26 weeks pregnant. I'll be 27 weeks in 2 days. So almost in that third trimester. So this feels like a lifetime ago when we were trying for our second child. But I've been wanting to share this story for a while because I have mentioned in a few videos on my Instagram, just personal friends, that kind of stuff, that we did try for this baby and that we tried for what felt like forever, even though it was just 7 months. I've actually connected with a lot of other women who are either in the trying to conceive journey, who are in that phase of their life, who just want to know what we did, what worked for us, how did we finally get pregnant, and then more or less who just wanted to hear more of my story, or our story. I guess it includes my husband too, but you know what I mean. And so first things I just want to say is that yes, this is probably going to be a TMI video, so if that bothers you, you may want to go ahead. Secondly, I just want to say that it doesn't matter if your journey is 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 7 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. When you're walking through the heat of that journey, when you want to be pregnant, you just want to be pregnant. You don't want to wait. You don't want it to take 3 months. You don't want it to take 7 months. You definitely don't want it to take a year or 7 years. You just want to get pregnant. So no matter if it's your 3rd month trying and you're still not getting pregnant, I completely understand, because it only took us 7 months, but those 7 months felt like a year. I mean like years. Like it felt forever long for us. So just know that if you're in the heat of your trying to conceive journey, it doesn't matter how long it's been. I totally understand that it's just as hard at month 3 as it probably is at 3 years. Now there was no, just to preface this, there was no reason for our not able to conceive. There was nothing, like I don't have any issues. We already have a son. He just turned 2 in October. So it definitely wasn't anything that we thought was going to be challenging. So basically, to just get started, and I am going to look at my phone because I did type out quite a bit of notes because I really want to try and make this video make sense and be coherent and not be all over the place. Now, if you know me and you've watched any of our other videos, then you know that they're always kind of all over the place. But I'm really going to try to keep this one, I'm going to try and keep like our timeline and everything organized so that it makes sense. So our first cycle, I guess, that we started trying was December of 2019. So exactly a year ago, which is crazy. We first kind of started having the conversation that we wanted to have another baby. My son turned 1 October of last year. And when he turned 1, it was like, I had always said I did not want more kids. No way. 1 was enough. I was never going to be pregnant again. And then he turned 1 and he was so big and he was a toddler and babies were so tiny and I wanted another tiny baby. And so if you're in your first pregnancy and you're like, yep, this is it, I'm doing it one time, never doing it again, just wait a year. Because when they turn 1 and they get big and independent, those little heartstrings, you start getting baby fever. And that's pretty much what happened. So we started discussing it and I said, you know, if we were to get pregnant, they would be, you know, right under 2 years apart. Like that would be fine. But I was like, but we probably won't get pregnant this month, so it won't really matter. And so we were okay with it. So in December, we kind of just like discussed it, said we were gonna try, you know, we tried, but we weren't, like I wasn't charting, I wasn't doing anything. And that was pretty much our first cycle, was more of just conversation. Hey, we're gonna try, we weren't preventing, you know, we were just, you know, being in love and just trying, but not really. So then after, obviously we didn't get pregnant, Cycle 2, I wasn't sure how hard it would be to actually get pregnant because with our son, if you didn't know, quick backstory, my husband and I met on a blind date when we were 18. We got married on our 5-year dating anniversary. And then because we were currently living in Oregon at the time and our families were in Georgia, so we had flown home for Christmas and our wedding because we got married January 6th, 2018. So because we had already been off for 2 weeks, whatever, for Christmas and then our wedding, we couldn't take another week off and go on our honeymoon right away. So we waited and went on our honeymoon in February. Well, on our honeymoon, we actually pretty much discovered we were pregnant. I was really nauseous. Zach was eating these bang bang shrimp from California Pizza Kitchen, and on the airplane home from Mexico, I was disgusted. It was so gross. 5 days after we got home from our honeymoon, took a test, we were pregnant. So sometime between our wedding night and that first like month of marriage, we conceived our son. Clearly we weren't trying. That was not in the plan. And so we weren't sure, all of that to say, we weren't sure how long trying to conceive was actually going to take. We just knew that like obviously I was able to conceive, but we weren't sure what the process was gonna be, if it was gonna be hard or anything for us. So in January, we pretty much just did the same thing. I did use an app, so I used like whatever, just your basic pregnancy app, whatever, your period tracker app. I just used it and went off what it said I was ovulating and just kind of went by that. We did that for January, and then we did the same thing in February because I figured the first few months, it wasn't like a huge deal, but I also thought we would just get pregnant. So we weren't actively like trying anything crazy. We would just, you know, around the ovulation window, do the thing, and I thought it would be that easy. Well, by the time February had come and gone and we still hadn't conceived, I was like, okay, we've been doing this for 3 months. Like, okay, let's try something else. Like, this is clearly not working. I'm ready to be pregnant now. Like, we've been talking about this for a while. I don't want to wait anymore. Cycle, after not conceiving, I decided to order ovulation strips just from Amazon. The super cheap, like literally, I think it's like $10 for ovulation strips and pregnancy test. And so I ordered that, and that was just going to be what we were going to do. And hopefully that would work. We'd get pregnant right away. That was the plan. Okay, wait, I lied. I did order those sometime in either March or February, but technically in March we kind of didn't try because I felt like maybe we were trying too hard, and maybe that was why we weren't conceiving. You know, if you're not trying, you'll get pregnant. That month you don't try. And so I kind of thought maybe that was that, and I didn't want a December baby. I did not want a Christmas baby. So in March we kind of didn't really try. That's right, in March we didn't really try, but I did order the ovulation strips. So in April, cycle 4, I really thought that was gonna be our month. I thought we were gonna get pregnant, it was gonna happen. So I used the ovulation strips. I was convinced that was gonna be our month. So I used the ovulation strips, didn't get pregnant, still. So by this point, it had been what felt like forever. So I was like, okay, obviously like I'm missing something doesn't make sense. What can we do? So I started watching a lot of trying to conceive like YouTube videos. Watched a lot of videos. I just followed different people's journeys. I tried to figure out maybe like what they were doing that I could implement, like anything at this point. Like I just wanted to try anything, like anything else to help get pregnant. So one thing that I learned during all those videos was temperature charting. Now at first that was like this obscure thought to me. I didn't even think that like people still use this. I really thought that this was something like from my olden days before you had, you know, apps to tell you whatever. Wrong, I was so wrong. Temperature charting is actually great because in the apps, which I discovered this kind of like later on, but like through the first month of charting, I discovered that I don't actually ovulate on day 14. So your standard, you know, anatomy class when you learn, or sex ed class, whatever, which I actually didn't have because I went to a private school, but that's irrelevant. But in that standard, you know, window, typically women ovulate day 14. Now, that is what they tell you, but I don't know anyone who actually has the right amount of period, like the 4-day period with ovulation. Like no one has that. So day 14 is just the like standard, I guess. So all of the apps go off day 14. Well, if you ovulate early or late, then the app's not telling you the right day to try to conceive. So through temperature charting, I was kind of learning that I didn't actually ovulate on day 14. So for the last, since December, so for those last 3-4 months, we'd been trying, we weren't gonna get pregnant because I wasn't ovulating like the app said. So the other thing I did during that time frame was I downloaded Fertility, which is an app that obviously, like, I'm not sponsored to talk about them or anything, but I highly recommend. I'm convinced that this app is the reason that we finally conceived. It's amazing. So I don't remember if you have to pay, like, I know the app is free, but I think I did pay for the premium version for 1 month, which was actually not this month, but the month we did conceive. But anyways, so that app's amazing. Highly recommend downloading it. You can chart everything. So I did all of those in April after we didn't conceive. So May rolls around, which was cycle 6, and I charted everything. My temperature, my symptoms, everything. May, I was convinced, like, this was gonna be it. That was it. It was 6 months. Like, that was our month. When that didn't happen, I was heartbroken. It was getting to the point where it was no longer fun. It was no longer a theory of, hey, like, let's have another baby. This will be fun. It was more of like, okay, I want to be pregnant. Why isn't this happening? Something's wrong with my body. You know, you go into all of those thoughts, and I was going into that place where I felt like something was wrong with me. Now, obviously, we'd only been trying for 6 months. I was 25 at the time. I'm 26 now. I was young. I wasn't, you know, there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with my husband. We already had a son. So I knew that secondary infertility does exist and it is common, but I didn't think that there was anything wrong with me realistically. Medically, I guess. But May was just a really hard month. By the time May rolled around, obviously we all know what was going on in 2020 started happening in March and April, and all of those, you know, emotions and all of that kind of stuff was playing into just everything I was feeling. So May was just a really hard time. I do remember just like praying really hard that month and, like, you know, just talking to God and saying, like, okay, like, we've been doing this, like, I know we're supposed to wait for your time. I know your timing is going to be perfect, but, like, come on, like, this has been 6 months of trying for this baby that, like, we so desperately wanted, and why can't we conceive it? What is wrong? And I do remember May just being like a month kind of where I did everything. That I think was the month I really did a lot more research on charting, and I learned everything I could. I was convinced that, like, I couldn't do this anymore, and we basically agreed that, like, if after May and June, if we didn't conceive, we would just wait and just kind of stop for a while. But I knew that you have to be trying for a year before you can even speak to a doctor. And so I was like, well, we're halfway there. So that was one positive, as I was, like, kind of thinking, like, well, we're halfway there. You know, I don't really want to get to Sebastian being a 2-year-old and still not even being able to be pregnant. I don't want our kids to be that far apart. I wanted them to be a little bit closer. And it had already been half a year. You know, by that point I was hoping to have been pregnant for a few months, already have announced it, and here we are still not pregnant. The other thing I wrote down was that I did know I was still breastfeeding, and I know that breastfeeding can make fertility harder, but I wasn't nursing a newborn. Like I said, Sebastian in May would have been turning 2 in October, so he wasn't nursing, like, all the time, but he was definitely still nursing. Like, he was, at that point, was still nursing to sleep every night. Or would at least, like, nurse for a few minutes before bed, and in the mornings and a couple times during the day. Like, he was still definitely nursing quite a bit. And I thought that maybe that was the reason I wasn't conceiving, but I also wasn't ready to give that up. To me, it didn't feel like sacrificing that relationship with him was going to do anything other than damage my mental health more during this trying process of trying to conceive. So I didn't feel like that was even an option, was to stop breastfeeding. I didn't want to. I didn't think that it was really affecting it because I was still having regular cycles. I was still ovulating, like, all of those things. I was still having all the other symptoms that go along with ovulating. Really TMI. But, like, I was still having all those things. I was getting positive ovulation tests. I was having a period regularly. I knew that, like, breastfeeding wasn't taking away from that. So I knew that that wasn't necessarily something I was ready to stop yet. I had said that if we got to his 2nd birthday and we still weren't pregnant, I would probably start weaning him at that point. Because it would just have been almost a year of trying at that point and still not conceiving. So that was another factor that played into May, when I kind of just did a lot of research and I, like, discovered everything. Oh, one more thing that I discovered in May was the SMEP plan. So I won't go into super detail because I don't really know a lot about it. We literally only did it for 1 month, which was the month we conceived. But it's called the Sperm Meets Egg Plan, SMEP. And basically, it's something like where on cycle day 8, you start trying. And you do it every other day until you get a positive ovulation test. Then you do it that day, twice a day if you can, the day after, and the day after. So for like 3 days in a row, you do the deed. And basically that's the sperm meets egg plan. And then what it says to also do is after those 3 days, you take a day off and then you do it again. Just to make sure the sperm meets the egg. Like, that's the plan. That is your goal. That is what you are trying to do. And so in June, which was such a great month, in June, what I implemented was we did the SMEP plan. I was taking prenatal vitamins. I was using ovulation strips. We were tip charting. Literally everything I knew to do, we did in June, which obviously worked because that was the month we got pregnant. So I will say that the SMEP plan worked for us 100%. I fully believe that is why we got pregnant. Now, I do also think that I do know for a fact that if we had not used the SMEP plan and had I not known that I ovulated later, then we would not have been able to conceive. Knowing that I ovulated later, knowing my test strips and my temperatures had to like change and regulate on a certain day, made me know that when I thought I ovulated the first time, I didn't actually ovulate. I actually ovulated on day 18 of my cycle instead of day 14. And because of that, I knew when we needed to do our 3 days and then skip a day. And if we had not done that day after ovulation, we would not have conceived. That is the day that we conceived. I can almost pinpoint it to a T. So I know that that plan is what really worked for us. So after all of that, the 2-week wait, this 2-week wait was literally the hardest and the longest 2 weeks of my entire life. Every other month, it was like, oh, I thought I was pregnant. Every other month, I thought, this is our month. But there was something, which obviously it was the baby, during this 2-week wait, I just knew. Like, I just knew. There was, I don't even remember what symptoms I really had. I don't even know if I had that many symptoms other than just, I think that was actually it. I didn't have any symptoms. I just had a feeling. And I was like, I'm not having any symptoms. Like, I'm not having anything that's telling me that we conceived. But in my gut, I knew. And so, because of that, on cycle day 7, 1 week after ovulation, I decided to take a test. Now, I knew it was early, so I knew that the likelihood of actually conceiving was like not conceiving. The likelihood of actually seeing a positive was so minuscule. Like, the amount of people that see a cycle day 7 positive ovulation is like so few. So I knew this was crazy to even take a test. But I had them. They were cheap. Why not? I felt like it, so why not? So took it on day 7. It was negative. On day 8, I kind of did the same thing. And when I saw that negative, I was like, okay, I'm torturing myself. I don't want to see another negative. If I'm pregnant, it's just not going to show up yet. But why do I keep doing this to myself? Seeing the negative is heartbreaking. So on cycle day 9, I didn't take a test. I didn't take a test. The whole day in my brain, I was like, I should have tested this morning. Should have used my first morning. Why didn't I do it? And all day I was like waiting to go to bed so that I could wake up and test on day 10. Y'all, I mean, like, it was the longest day. All day I kept thinking, oh, I could just go and I could test, but I didn't. I told myself I would wait. I would not test no matter how bad I wanted to. I wouldn't use a later pee. If it wasn't first morning, it wasn't gonna register. So I had to wait. So, cycle day 10, July 2nd, 2020, I woke up and obviously I had Sebastian, so I did have to take care of him, but I peed and I put that in the bathroom and I was like, I will come back to this in a minute. Obviously took care of Sebastian. When he went down for his nap, I went and tested. I will link the video above for you if you want to watch it. It was very emotional. I forgot to turn the sound machine off. It was all over the place, but I just knew I was pregnant. But there was something about turning the test over and seeing the positive. When I saw that faint line, I literally remember that moment, like, I just couldn't believe that it was real. I could not believe I was actually seeing that second line. It was such an amazing moment, but it was also just like so surreal. Like, holy cow, this was our month. Like, we're pregnant. And I couldn't believe it. And my first thought was, oh my god, I can't wait to tell Zach. I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. But I actually called my best friend first. I called her and told her, I wasn't going to. I wanted to like just tell Zach first, but I had to tell someone. I could not wait any longer because she was the friend that I had told all along, all the months we were trying. You know, we had talked. I had said all of these trials I was going through, and she was praying for us, and it was just so, anyways, I told her all of those videos. I mean, I have the telling our friends video, I have telling Zach, they're all, I'll link the whole playlist above, so if you want to watch those, you can. But yeah, so July 2nd, 2020, we finally got our positive after 7 months of trying, and it was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, so now we are, what did I say, 26 weeks? Yeah, 26, I'll be 27 weeks on Friday. Today's Wednesday, and we'll be 27 weeks in our third trimester. And it's crazy that this time a year ago, like, I could be sitting here holding a newborn, but then I wouldn't have this baby, so it's kind of bittersweet. But yeah, that was our journey, and it was hard. If it wasn't for prayer and friends, I really don't know how I would have gotten through it. Also, more than anything, my spouse. Having Zach, I look back and it was like, literally our trying to conceive journey was some of the best times in our relationship. And I don't know if it's because it was a trying time, and maybe that's why we were so intimate and so close. But it wasn't like, there was something about May too, or in June when we were trying, that like we were trying, but we were also really enjoying the trying. It wasn't just let's make a baby. And if you get that, then you know if you've experienced that kind versus just let's make a baby. And there was something about those months, or that month specifically, that was just so special. And that journey, that time that we were going through when we weren't conceiving, we were just growing closer and closer together. We were closer to God. We were praying more. He was such a big comfort when I was really upset, when I wanted to just cry. You know, he was comforting to me and making sure that I was okay. And he completely understood, like, you know, this was something we both wanted. We wanted our son to get to be a big brother. And we didn't want to wait. We wanted it to happen. And we weren't sure why it wasn't. We kept thinking, you know, all of these people, I mean, the amount of pregnancy tests that were announced during our journey was heartbreaking. The amount of people I kept seeing saying that they had conceived, I just would cry every time I saw one. And it was so hard. But now I'm on the other side, and this side has been some of my favorite ever, because I shared our journey with, so, you know, on Facebook and Instagram, things like that. I've shared it before, even though I haven't done a full in-depth video. I have connected with so many women who are in month 2, 3, 4, and they're like, what do I do? Like, what did you do? And I can think of like 3 off the top of my head that have now recently announced that they're pregnant. And it's so cool to get to be pregnant together with your friends, especially when you've walked through their trying to conceive journey together. And until you've really been in that journey, you don't know what it feels like. You don't know how hard it is emotionally until you've been there. And so the relationships that I've formed and the friendships that I've formed from sharing that is honestly the reason I wanted to film this video, because I think that it's like so misconstrued that if, unless you're trying for, you know, 6, 7 years, oh, well, you know, until you've actually tried for that long, then you don't understand. But like I said in the beginning of the video, when you want a baby, you want a baby. You don't want to wait 3 months. You don't want to wait 6 months. You don't want to wait 7 months. You want it to happen. And when it doesn't, it's hard. And you know what? You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to have those feelings. You are allowed to be hurt that you aren't getting what you want. You know, that's something that you're wanting, that baby, and you want to be a mom, or you want to be a second-time mom. You want your kid to be a big brother or big sister. And when it doesn't happen, you know, you're allowed to feel those feelings. And I think that so often people are made to think that they can't, that unless, you know, you've been on the journey for such a long time, you can't feel that. You can't feel those feelings. And I just want to say that I disagree. And if you are in that journey right now, and you want to chat, then send me a message on Instagram, send me a DM, anything. Like I said, I love talking about it. I really, really enjoy it. Something I didn't even know I enjoyed. Same thing with breastfeeding. I did not know the amount of knowledge and love that I would grow for just the whole way our bodies work. there's something about the female body that's just so fascinating. And through breastfeeding and through just motherhood in general, and baby-led weaning, like all of the things I've learned from being a mom and the journeys that I've walked through, I absolutely love sharing with other women who are in those places or who are wanting to be in those places and they don't know what to do. Breastfeeding, the amount of moms I've talked to about, oh, well, use a haka, oh, try this. You put the baby to the boob as much as possible. Like, I love sharing that. I love saying that, like, I'm at 2 years and still going. Barely. He's pretty much weaned because my milk is definitely colostrum at this point for the new baby. Sebastian's not a fan. But you know, saying that, like, I'm still nursing a 2-year-old during pregnancy, like, not a lot of people get that. Not a lot of people understand that. But I do, and I'm there. And we tried for this baby and it was hard, and we didn't try for 7 years, but we tried for 7 months and it was a hard 7 months. And anyways, I'm kind of rambling now because I'm through with my notes like I said I would do. But yeah, if you're in that phase of life and you just want to chat with someone, send me a message. I would absolutely love to talk to you. Comment down below, anything. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about. Obviously, I've never walked through a miscarriage, and that's not something that I can even begin to fathom or to walk through. I do have a friend who I walked through with her. And our stories are pretty sweet because now we're actually pregnant together and our babies are due a week apart. So God's really cool. And now our babies are due a week apart, and it's so fun to be pregnant with friends who've known from the very, like, week 3 that you're pregnant. Like, they've been there for you. So yeah, I really love connecting with other women about things like this. It's really fun for me to be able to talk to and talk about. So I guess that about wraps up this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want more, comment down below any ideas that you want in relation to this. Obviously, we're doing Vlogmas right now, and then in the next few months we'll have a baby born, which is crazy. But yeah, so obviously lots of content coming, lots of fun things to share. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!